I guess we should have sound checked you, huh? You should be fine, but how's everything sound?
Yeah, everything sounds good.
Perfect. And just go ahead and have that a little closer to you, and you should be fine.
A little better?
Yep.
All right.
I'm going to close this. 20 seconds. Three, two, one. Well, that ain't it. That ain't the right one, but that's okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 209 Sports Talk. I am JD, Jeff Dominic, in the house. Thank you all for joining me today. And, well, let's go ahead and introduce our newest co-host, our newest member of the 209 Sports team. And that is the rest of the intro. Okay, well, I just heard it just now.
A little delay.
A little bit of a delay, but anyways, we're still working on some of the bugs here. Once again, I appreciate y'all joining in today. I am JD Jeff Dominic. Let's go ahead and introduce the newest member, the newest co-host, the newest anything else he wants to be added to. He is it. That is now a good friend of mine. He also was he was one of the partners on when we did a live broadcast when we were did play-by-play against the University of Pacific taking on the University of San Francisco Dons.
Yeah.
So the very first NCAA basketball game, and I'm happy to announce he is now my new co-host. That is Alex Woods. Alex, welcome to the team.
Well, thank you for having me. I am very excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, of course, you know how we do it, and I will not tell you otherwise, but you can definitely talk anything you want about sports. And if you get onto a rant, just get on whatever. If there's something else you want to talk about, man.
So I can get on the rant.
You can get on a rant about anything. It doesn't have to be necessarily sports related. I prefer it to be sports related, but you can talk about sports all day long on this show.
I am with it. I love it.
Awesome.
I've had some things I've wanted to get off my chest. Now, if I can remember them while we're doing the show, I will get them off my chest.
Well, we are scheduled for 2 hours. That does not mean we have to be 2 hours, because if we start getting good, hey, we can go as long as we need to. Of course, I do have to work the next day, so let's be mindful of that. Tonight, what we're going to be talking about, originally when we were looking at our initial situation here, we were going to talk some Pacific Tiger news. There was a lot of things going on focused around Pacific Tigers. They have a lot of sports upcoming, and I think these two sports that we're going to be talking about tonight are probably their best two sports that they had last year, and I think this year coming up is going to be even better for them, that being talking about volleyball and their field hockey. Pretty random,
especially for me, and I am very excited to learn something tonight.
Okay.
I'm not a big field hockey fan, but it's always interested me.
Well, field hockey is still something new to me too. I only caught a couple of games, and usually when I caught those couple of games, it was just because I was I was at halftime and stuff like that, so I'd only catch the last part of it, and I learned a lot. But what I really learned a lot last year was volleyball, and if you've ever had a chance to sit down and talk with Coach Greg Gibbons, which I know you haven't yet, but we'll set something up where we'll get a chance to talk with him. That guy teaches you so much about the game, and it blew my mind the more I learned, because I actually sat there, watched it, and then it kind of transferred over to when I went over to watch Delta play, and they have an absolutely great team every year. They put on a great show, which actually moves me over to talking a little bit about Delta. We will be talking about their women's volleyball team, because their season will be coming up here probably about mid-September, I think it is, and football will also be right around the corner. Football team for Delta coming right off of a bowl game or a bowl season where they won that bowl and went 7-4. But I got a lot of questions about that team, so I'm sure you do too as well, Alex.
Oh yeah, when we were covering the games, there were questions. Even though they were winning, it was what's going to happen next. So yeah, there are some questions.
Well, I've got a lot of questions, and I know we're going to be talking about that here later on tonight.
And speaking of volleyball, I do have a little bit of knowledge. I used to go to school up in Colorado Siskiyous, and where I lived on the property of the the volleyball coach.
Okay.
Men's and women's volleyball coach. So he gave me a little insight of what to look at. So I knew a little bit, so I can keep up with you a little bit, I think.
Perfect. Well, I'm like I said, I'm still learning, so we're going to be kind of in the same boat, but at the same time, I think we'll be just fine when it comes to volleyball talk. I don't think there's going to be any problems with that. What's funny is when you said Siskiyou, a long time ago when I first started really trying to get involved into Delta sports, well, Siskiyou was one of the main teams that football would be playing a lot.
Yep.
And so my first time of saying it was Siskiyou. Oh yeah, yeah. I think that was and you thought it was hard for me. Yeah, it was definitely hard for me. So, yeah, it definitely was a wrong. It was definitely the wrong way, but it was.
But it's not that easy to pronounce. I don't think. I think I got it wrong a couple times when I first saw it.
Well, I got it completely wrong. So
yeah, you did.
So, anyways, but I've learned my lesson, and now I know it's Siskiyou, and we moved on. So, also tonight we'll be moving in. As I said, we'll be talking a little bit of Pacific Tiger news, a couple new hirees. Field hockey wise, volleyball wise, hirees for the University of Pacific softball team. Want to talk about that a little bit because I do have my own personal opinion about that. Delta news, got plenty of that. Moving on to Stockton Record, we have a little bit to talk about. We had one of the Stockton Record associates. They went out and caught up with Darion Grimm, former McNair High School graduate football player, complete standout, had 25 touchdowns receiving last year for McNair High School, set records left and right.
Oh, I bet. So receiving touchdowns, goodness.
Yeah, he was a complete beast, and that was just to say. Originally, in the beginning of the year, Sean Hamilton was the guy that everybody was looking forward to, and Sean Hamilton only had, I think he had, 13 or 14 touchdowns. So, I mean, McNair High School last year was an offensive powerhouse. The only problem was that their defense was struggling. I think is the best way to really just kind of go there with it.
I'm actually surprised how good they've been in sports for a school that hasn't been around as long as it has.
I think they're a decade long. So, I mean, I think it's, I don't think they're that old, but at the same time, I think they're about 10 years old.
You've had enough people, I guess, come through there now that you should have some athletes.
Exactly. So,
I remember when Bear Creek first started, we had our first game against Bear Creek.
Did you?
Hell yeah. That was pretty different.
So, we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also start to move into a little bit more professional sports, kind of like what we do, as I talked to Alex about it, and here's the honest truth is that we can talk 209 sports, but I know that the people listening at home will probably get a little bit bored of it, and we don't want that to happen at all.
Right.
So we will move into some professional sports. Baseball trade deadline was right around the corner. I'm sure everyone was really excited. We're going to go ahead and give our winners and losers and some teams that we probably, that made some nice undercover trades that we probably want to bring up as well. Of course, the big trades yesterday. Who had the biggest impact? Who was the front runner? Now with the trades, who is the loser? And as far as pretty much as far as contending teams go. But I'll be honest with this: my winner isn't a contending team anymore. So we'll go ahead and bring that up here as well.
I wonder who that is.
But let's hear the best part there, Alex. Guess what is happening? Oh, I don't know. In probably, I want to say 5 days?
Yes.
5 days? What's happening in 5 days?
It's the Olympics.
The Olympics is in 3.
The Olympic ceremony.
The Olympics. Oh, good point. What else is happening in 5 days, Alex? Way to throw me off because I was expecting to say something different.
5 days. What? Is it a draft?
The draft? What draft?
Football?
No.
No fantasy football?
No. We can talk about. We'll tease that tonight too. We 209 Sports is going to be going ahead and doing a Saturday show as well, where we will be talking a little bit of 209 fantasy football, and that'll be, like I said, there's a lot to talk about there.
Now you have me stumped.
Well, you had it pretty much there. You were there, and that's going to be the first preseason game.
Yeah, I always forget about that game. I can't even tell you the last time. Now we're talking about the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I've seen it.
Really?
Yeah, I always forget because it comes up so fast.
So we are just about 5 days away from the Hall of Fame game. The Indianapolis Colts taking on the Green Bay Packers. A lot of great Indianapolis Colts and a great Green Bay Packer getting retired. They're going to the Hall of Fame. Marvin Harrison, Coach Dungy for the Indianapolis Colts, and of course the great one, the legend Brett Favre. So those guys are all going to be retired. If you have any thoughts about that, feel free to go ahead and leave us a few comments here if you want on the 209 YouTube channel. But as we're talking about that, you did bring up something there, Alex, and I think we were going to start our show off with this, and it is the Olympics are coming up, and if you follow the Olympics, Alex, I know you've got your opinion behind it. I'm concerned. I really am concerned with
very concerned.
All the athletes going over in that direction,
and the ones that haven't.
Well, yeah.
You had the top 3 golfers aren't going,
right?
Half of the NBA stars that usually go aren't going,
right?
So and then oh my gosh, I don't know, man. And then Russia. Who's going for Russia?
Well,
the coaches?
Yeah, pretty much. There's lots we can talk about on this. So where do we really want to start with it as far as let's talk about the safety factor so far right now when it comes to with these athletes. I'm so concerned. We were talking about this. This was off an article off of The Independent. It's a website that had their article, and they were talking about 3 teaspoons of this water, the water, if it's consumed, can give you a viral infection. People are downing they're downing ibuprofen and stuff like that. Ibuprofen and everything. Let's be focused on this. It doesn't cure viruses.
Nope.
It doesn't cure viruses. It helps with pain. It helps with crud. I can't think of the name of it all of a sudden off the top of my head, but it doesn't cure viruses.
Isn't it inflammation?
It's an antibiotic. Antibiotics. They kill bacteria, but they don't kill viruses. So with them trying to do all this stuff,
basically might as well eat candy.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm concerned with these athletes. I really try and get fully involved in this. I really am looking forward to the Olympics. Every year I look forward to the Olympics. And we're not even talking about the other stuff at hand when it comes to what we were talking about earlier today. The media building that they had was built on a mass grave site for slaves. So, Alex, if we're part of the media right now. We're trying to all be part of this media. I want you to go to the Olympics, and I want you to cover the games. I want you to cover all the Olympic games, but you got to stay on a gravesite. I'm good.
I don't want to do that.
No,
I don't want to do that. That's. I don't even know how that's something you shouldn't even told anybody.
I think and you want part of it too is I kind of wonder how much the media blows it out of proportion too. It's hard to not blow it out of proportion, but do you think that the media also blows it way out of proportion to what it needs to be? Does it really need to be brought to this much?
I think you have to. It depends on what media news outlet you're looking at. Because I think if we turn on some Brazil news or something they're covering, I can probably guarantee you that they're not giving the full information.
Right.
Now, American information or American news, I think they like to scare.
Right.
I think they like to scare. So they're just doing what they do. And that's why we have so many people not going.
Well, as you said, three of the best golfers in the world all backed out. We have 1,400 athletes going over to the Olympic Games. And I'm concerned of their safety coming back here. There's going to, and not only that, you have, 5,000 plus new tourists every day going over there, and they can't get on a subway because it's not fully done? What? The IOC, the International Olympic Committee, needs to do something, and I think a lot of it starts with planning. It doesn't matter where we're at, but I think the world revolves around at least some sort of planning, whether it be for this show, whether it be for waking up and doing your daily routine. You got to have some sort of planning. This is the Olympics are to be one of the millionth times bigger than doing a regular daily routine, and they can't seem to get it right. This is twice. This is 2 times in as many Olympics.
Yeah.
That we've had issues. You're talking about the Sochi Olympics. They didn't have. Fortunately, the virus situation isn't a situation over there at that time, but they didn't have shower heads. People didn't have doors on their buildings. I mean, it was ridiculous, and they're still having issues with trying to get everything together. I mean, they had years. Okay, we're going to be in Brazil in 3 years. Let's get a stadium built. Let's get this built. Let's make sure that this is built. Hey, let's not build it on a grave site. I mean,
now, who do you blame for this?
The IOC. There's their whole complete issue. I
agree. I mean, there's nobody else that you can't blame a country for trying to hide some of its problems to keep something like this because of what it will do, what will benefit for the country. So you can't blame. I mean, Russia had the dog problem, the stray dog problem they try to hide. I mean, this is what countries do because of the benefit of having the Olympics on your soil. So yes, the IOC, somebody needs to hold them accountable for this because this is on them. I mean, I'm looking at it. They even have the Zika virus that people are concerned about. That the reason people aren't going, and then you talk about the safety. 2 members of the Australian Paralympic team already robbed. New Zealand athlete robbed by the cops. I mean,
what's funny is as you said all this stuff, we didn't even bring up the Zika virus. We were just talking about viruses in general.
Yeah.
I mean, the Zika virus is what started this whole situation. But you're right. I mean, you're talking about complete safety. There is no safety. There are no rooms for anybody pretty much to sleep in, and the ones that people can sleep in are built on grave sites or whatever. I mean, it's just the whole idea process seemed like it was so rushed and unprepared that it makes me sick.
And I think that's what it was, unprepared. Like, Olympics are in 2 years. I guess we better start doing something about this stuff.
Oh, we'll wait until next year. It'll be fine. Yeah. We'll be fine because we still got the Winter Olympics to figure out.
Yeah.
So they didn't even figure out the Winter Olympics, and they got that. I think what they're doing is the IOC really needs a big time shot in the arm, and they need a complete reality check.
Yes.
That it needs to be redone. I mean, they had 4 years to figure out. Okay, we're doing this in Brazil. Where are we doing it in Brazil? Because we don't want to do it over there because of all these situations. Oh wait, they have so many viruses. We're going to endanger thousands of athletes? What was option B? Because that's what I want to know. Was there an option B, and why didn't we go with that?
I think the problem is they get into these conference rooms and they pick a location and they want to stick to it so much that they don't even think about the plan B. They have a plan B in place, but it's just to have it on the paperwork. I think they wanted in Brazil so much that they overlooked how major some of these concerns were. I mean, they're still having police deaths and street muggings have increased. And we have the Olympics. Get this. Didn't the Olympics start 2 weeks earlier 4 years ago?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
I believe they usually start on the 25th of July.
Okay.
Now we're August 5th. So you've already...
you've lost 10 days.
Yeah.
Well, 6... Let's say 10. We'll just stick around the 2 week area.
Yeah. So you've already lost 2 weeks, and you still have it looking like they just picked Brazil for the Olympics in 4 years.
It's so bad. It really is so bad. I mean, I can't only. I mean, that's the only thing I can say is that how horrific those athletes. I only hope that those athletes are going to be back, come home safe. Because if not, I think that, let's put it this way. Any kind of virus or any kind of death looks horrible on the IOC now. anything that happens, the muggings are one thing because that can happen to anybody any day in tourism and stuff like that. I don't think that's what will get them. I think when the viruses get hit and people start either getting really ill, where they spend weeks and weeks in the hospital, finely tuned athletes are staying weeks in the hospital because of some sort of virus. I think that's what's really going to get the IOC, and I really think that the IOC needs a complete makeover on this because I think their planning was completely horribly done.
Yeah, I agree. And if you're listening and you really want a direct insight, you can follow Andrew Bogut on Twitter, and he is giving you a rundown of how things really are in the Olympic Village. They have to put together their own shower curtains.
Yeah, some showers don't even have the shower heads.
Yeah. He posted a picture of him putting the shower curtain together, and then come to find out that the IOC people that are there, they're downtown at the 5-star hotels.
Tell me how that's not right.
I don't know. You like you said, fine-tuned athletes. You spent 4 years to get here, and now you put us up in this type of lodging. They're in twin beds. Andrew Bogut, 7 foot, 250, 260, twin bed. Come on.
He needed to put them together up front ways and back ways so that way he could just hang his legs over to the other bed.
Exactly.
But no, serious. I mean, and there's a lot of controversy behind this, and I think it's absolutely horrible. And I think the IOC needs to do something. It needs to be the IOC. Something needs to happen to them. I really do. I think that's horrible. But on the other side of things, and as you said, Andrew Bogut, not only is he going through the Olympics right now, but the Olympics end in the end of August, roughly. Mm-hmm. Kind of being rough about it.
Yeah.
Andrew Bogut, an NBA player, will be playing in the NBA in a month and a half from there. He'll start going and getting ready for training camp.
Yep.
What's going to happen if he's all of a sudden still in the hospital because he got some sort of virus because he was playing in Rio?
We can just say, let's say half of the players have some kind of illness when they get back. How does that impacts a lot of teams?
Whether it be NBA or they're overseas, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Or any sport period, if half of your athletes come back with some kind of illness, they can't get ready for the next season.
Oh, I'm telling you, if half the athletes get some sort of virus or are in the hospital because of some sort of virus, there's going to be a lot of pretty ticked off people.
Yeah, and I think you'll get what you were talking about with the IOC in an overhaul. And that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a small break. When we come back, it might help if I'm still learning my computers here, folks. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit more about the Olympics, but also talk a little bit about we want to know what is Alex's favorite game he's going to be looking forward to. More to come right here on the 209 Sports Talk. We'll be right back.
Raw sewage in the water.
Well, did they not hear us?
How would you feel, man? You worked so hard. You made the raw sewage in the last.
Did they not? welcome back to 209 Sports Talk here on the 209 YouTube channel. I am Jeff Domick. That is Alex Woods. We are pretty much just getting started off here today as we're talking about the U.S. Olympics just around the corner. Well, the U.S. Olympic team going to Rio just around the corner, and we're talking about how concerned we are about their health and everything else that's going on, whether it be their living quarters or their ingestion of their water. I guess they weren't kidding. If you go to Tijuana, don't drink the water, but I guess that stands in Rio too. So, but let's move on from this. I mean, because there are some positives. I mean, I really do look forward to the Olympics, and one thing I look forward to about the Olympics is the games, track and field, swimming. I mean,
yes.
ESPN did a great piece on Michael Phelps, and these are things that obviously we don't think about talking to each other about. But if you ever have a chance, Alex, to take a look at the piece with Alex Phelps, or your Alex, Michael Phelps, check it out because it's actually really good. It was talking about how he got success early. Mm-hmm. And if you remember, he came back from one of the Olympics. I think he was like 21.
Yep.
And there was the picture of him smoking on a bong. And his life went completely downhill.
Yeah, it did.
And they were talking about how he's recently married, and they put it around his father. And his father was a former police officer who was a state trooper for, 30 years. Just a whole bunch of things going on there. And I mean, you really need to take a look at that piece if you ever get a chance. It's a great piece by ESPN. As we're talking about the Olympics, though, are you looking forward to basketball? I mean, and not, I don't say that just because, it's one of the most popular sports right now, especially for the Olympics, because I don't want to see them blow out teams by 45 points, which is what they're averaging in their exhibition games. But are you looking forward to the basketball? Are you looking forward to what are you really enticed by, and what's going to be your sport of watching?
I rarely watch the basketball games in its entirety because
it's just that boring.
Yeah. I mean, when the Dream Team came, I watched that, but after half of the Olympics were over, you just, it was more of just seeing what these guys would do to these other teams, and it's gone. The gap is getting closer, but it's still so far apart for these guys to totally dominate the U.S. players.
Who's your second place? I mean, is Spain going to be like the next team to just say, okay, you're second place because of, they have the Gasol brothers. If they're playing this year, who knows who's really playing right now?
Marc Gasol's hurt.
Oh, Marc Gasol's hurt.
Yeah, so I don't think he's playing. But if you have everyone else with Powell, I don't see anybody beating them.
I heard Venezuela's supposed to be pretty good. They may be a bronze team, but I've heard they were pretty good. For me, I'm looking forward to soccer. I'd love to see what the women's soccer team can do. Mm-hmm. Track and field's always been one of my favorite for the Olympics. I mean, but I think what I usually do is I'll just turn it on and I'll just sit in front of the couch. I don't care what's playing, really.
Yeah.
You're right. When it comes to basketball, when it's one of the most popular sports in the U.S., as comparison to what's over there for the Olympics, that is the most popular sport. Because, I mean, if this wasn't the Olympics, 95% of us wouldn't be carrying on what's going on with the track and field. And that includes me.
Well, I'm a track guy.
Are you?
Yeah. So I still keep an eye out on it. But, yeah, it's not the thing. It's
right.
Not that main thing. The basketball is not really important. I mean, that's one that you kind of, when you're looking at what the USA is going to do as far as gold as medals, you kind of got to just give them that gold and start trying to look at everything else. I like the swimming. I really like the swimming. I'm a big dive fan. I like the diving. The Chinese usually dominating that.
And not to be mean or rude or anything like that, but I mean, I think that a lot of that is just the way that they're built.
Yeah.
I mean, it's they are such a slimmer. The Chinese, most Asian cultures are such a slimmer kind of body where they're able to get through the dive so much easier.
Yeah.
And I think and of course a lot of it's training. I mean, there's a lot of it is that stuff, and they are very disciplined. That's exactly where I was going to go with that. Diving's great. I didn't really even think about that.
I want to see. We keep on swimming for a little bit. Missy Franklin I really want to see what she does this year.
She was the girl that came in. She was like 16 or something when she came in, and she completely she shocked the world in a lot of ways. She's a very tall. She's 6 foot, something like that, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she's somewhere around there.
She's a very tall young lady, so that makes her around. She's roughly 20 years old now. Give or take. I mean, I remember she was like 16 or something like that.
She was 17. She earned 5 medals.
Yeah.
4 of them being gold and a world record.
So you're right on the money there. Missy Franklin and that was the girl that I was trying to think of her name too. For whatever reason, I had Lindsey Vonn in my head, but she's a snowboarder.
Yeah.
And it was because she's doing a Reese's commercial because she's like, well, I can't really play anything Summer Olympics wise, so I might as well try something. And then I think they said, well, if you're not going to be at the Olympics, try eating Reese's or something like that, something stupid. But anyways, I'm looking forward to that. I think the swimming is definitely. Gymnastics this year. Where do you think the United States is going to be involved in that? And after this, I'm going to touch on something else too, because then we start going back into controversial stuff.
Now, I think if my memory serves me correctly, the Russian gymnasts aren't part of the ban from the Russian athletes, so they'll still be there. And in saying that, I can see the U.S. getting some silvers and some bronzes. I don't know about any golds because I don't know. Gabby Douglas is on the team. However, she hasn't been that great this year. But they were saying the reason she's on the team is because when these competitions come on, like the World Championships, the Olympics, is when her games basically elevates. I'm hoping for that. But what I've seen, I watched some of the trials. I just don't see what I saw 4 years ago.
Who takes the golds this year in the Olympic or for the gymnastics? Is it where China is going to be involved? Is it a Russia thing?
I think Russia.
Really?
Yeah, and I think with the pressure that the athletes that are going to be competing, it's just going to elevate them. And I think the gymnasts are ready. I mean, they had a couple. I can't remember some of the girls' names, but I remember they were right there 4 years ago, placing, especially overall performance. I think they were either bronze or fourth place.
Okay. Now, you did touch on something which is awesome because you've been doing that for me all day so far as the show goes on, which makes it much easier. The Russian Olympics team and the doping scandals and everything else. First initial thoughts behind this. And how bad is it for that country?
It's embarrassing. That was my first thought. Second, they've over the years they have had some questionable things happen, or they've done some questionable things. You can't skirt the line forever. So here you go. You got to get your punishment at some point. I feel bad for some of the people that don't dope, but there's so many people that they had talked about doing a case-by-case basis, but I think there's so many people that they're just giving most of the team an umbrella of you can't come, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. If you're doping, you're not doing a fair advantage. I mean, I think the whole cycling conglomerate needs to be shut down.
Well, and it's the same thing. I mean, if we want to go, well, they should punish. They can't punish one person or punish the whole team for one person. Well, they did the same thing when Jackie Joyner was going through her stuff.
Yep.
There was times where she was doing a team event where it was what do they call those things where they pass the baton?
The relay.
The relay. And that was pretty easy. Jesus Christ, Jeff, where the hell are you going? But anyways, the relay. So yeah, it's that easy, but you have to punish the whole team for one person's mistake. You have to. It has to be done. And unfortunately, in this case, because so many people were getting nailed for doping, it's hard to just, okay, well, you can go because you're clean, but you're rooming with this guy, so it's kind of hard for me to really, to go with this way. And then when you have like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it's like all of a sudden the numbers start going like this and raising higher and higher. You can't do nothing but go, we're done.
Yeah. You got a crumpled paper, throw it in the trash. We're done. We're not going. And here's the thing: you don't catch everybody. So you might send some people that were clean at that point, but are they really clean?
You're not going to catch everybody. And I think that's why as much as we were just bashing the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, we're actually kind of giving them a little praise a little bit here, where they go, you know what, this is too much of a risk, and we don't want our names on that, saying that we just let this guy go and found out that he's doping later.
Yeah.
Because at some point, when there's one and there's two and now there's like, I think what did they count, like 15?
Yeah.
Something of that nature. You start going to where, okay, we're not so much now saying who is doping. We're kind of going to that point where who isn't doping, because it seemed like everybody was. So we're done. The IOC just said, nah, we're done. We've got enough on our heads right now as it is when it comes to going to Rio.
Yeah.
So
right. We don't want to deal with this.
So I think that you nailed it right on the head. I think they are. I think it was time for them to let them move on. They didn't need to be there no more. So let's go ahead and take a small break. We've been on this rant for a little while. So when we come back, it's time to go over into some University of Pacific news. More to come right here on the 209 Sports Talk Show on the 209 Sports YouTube channel. Five, 4, 3. Yeah, man, getting ready for some Olympic boxing too? No, I don't think the Olympic boxing's in the Olympics, but hey, I wanted to kind of go with it. Why not? Come on now. Welcome back to 209 Sports Talk here on the 209 YouTube channel. I am JD Jeff Dominic. Alongside with me is the new and improved Alex Woods.
I like that. New and improved.
New and improved. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good.
We're about 40 minutes in. You haven't backed out yet, so that's always a good sign.
Yeah, I'm still here. I didn't run out the building.
Oh man! So we've been completely on this rant about the the Olympics and the Rio, going over to Rio, and just how horrible it is for these athletes. And I just hope that they come back safe. I think that's about all we can hope for at this point. I mean, good. Wish them the best of luck in their events, but
safety is more important.
At this point, safety is going to be their whole thing. Let's move on to some University of Pacific news. I know we've been really kind of going on into this, and we kind of got stopped and got more excited about the Olympics. I think that right now, I mean, that's really the biggest part of the news right now is the Olympics. It's only a few days away. Of course, the NFL is right around the corner too, and we're pretty excited about that. I think we're going to be really focused on that on Saturday. Mm-hmm. That's really going to be our favorite time, is because we're going to kind of step aside from 209 Sports itself and really focus on a little bit more than what we were used to. And like I said, at the end of the show, we're going to tease that a little bit more, because I think these are uncharted waters in some ways for some of us, and for me, it's not. But like I said, I'm pretty excited about it, and I know our proprietor, the guy that helps me put this all together, he kind of helped me figure this all out. Actually, I shouldn't say he helped me figure it out. He figured it out for me, and then I just kind of followed the rest of it. Mr. DJ JOD, Mark Itleong. He has been listening a little bit lately, but I don't know. He's also going to the Kevin Hart here in Stockton today. You believe that? We're stuck here talking sports, and he's going to see Kevin Hart.
He's going to laugh.
Really?
I want to laugh.
I'm short. I'm close to his height. I don't. That's all I got though. I don't got his money.
You just made me laugh. So I got my giggles.
See, you have the main.
Are you a big Kevin Hart fan?
I love Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
She ain't got no nipples. Come on now.
I forgot about that.
Oh, that was, you know what? My buddy and I from work, we talk about that all the time. She ain't got no nipples. Just, we could be as ticked off as possible, because in the industry that I'm in the collision industry, and that's another conversation for another day.
Oh, I bet.
But when we're having such a tough day, we say that and it's over. We're done. We don't have a chance. So
a good laugh can change your mood just in an instant.
100% agree. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. But let's move on. University of Pacific men's water polo schedule has been released. Men's water polo released 2016 schedule. This is coming off of PacificTigers.com with 6 regular season home games and the inaugural Golden Coast Conference men's water polo tournament at Chris Jeltsin Pool. This season, Pacific is part of the new GCC. As you just noticed, the Golden Coast Conference. This is brand new. In fact, this is a brand new conference. This isn't a conference that included Pacific. This is a brand new conference, which includes former MPSF members Long Beach State, Pepperdine, San Jose State, UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara in the 6-team league. The Tigers will host the GCC tournament this season. Pacific has retained regular season meetings with former MPSF conference foes USC, UCLA, Cal, and Stanford, as UCLA and Cal will visit Stockton in 2016. Those are games you're going to want to see. UCLA puts on probably one of the best men's and women's water polo teams in the country. So you are definitely going to want to see these teams. And it's very rare that you're able to see ranked teams come to see Pacific, go against Pacific. The other teams you'll probably want to see, obviously, when you're talking basketball, is going to be Gonzaga. Yeah. Okay, BYU. Teams like that, I get that. Have you ever been to a BYU game?
No.
You need to. It's rock star status. I'm talking, these people come from out the woodworks. Okay, BYU obviously is a Mormon population. That's what BYU pretty much is. Mm-hmm. Brigham Young University is a Mormon population out of Utah.
Yes.
Provost, Utah. When they come to play, doesn't matter if it's men's or women's basketball, there are people, 30 people deep, to each player. You could be the bench player that fetches the water, and they are asking for autographs. They are rock star status. Wow. So I kind of went off base here a little bit, but if you've ever been to a men's or women's basketball game, that is something to. It's a sight. It truly is, because you're trying to walk through and trying to talk to people, trying to get an interview or something like that. Good luck. It's that awesome.
I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that, Pacific plays some good competition, and it gives you a chance to see, like you were saying, upper echelon teams that do it right on both men's and women's sports. I think people forget that you have that opportunity. I have to make sure that I look at the schedules to see who they're playing, to make sure that I put some time aside to go to some of these games, especially now that you tell me that's how they are. I mean, when I did when I covered the last game with you guys against UOP and the Dons, I was impressed. I hadn't been to a UOP game in a while, and I could imagine when the water polo teams plays UCLA or a team like that, it would be just as good and just as big.
Water polo is probably one of the biggest spots to really focus on when it's Pacific Tiger Sports. I mean, they do put on a good show, men's and women's. Soccer does have its tough times. They've actually, both men's and women's has had their issues. But I think water polo is probably one of the best things to actually look at. Their seasons come up a little bit later in the year. That's why I haven't focused. I mean, obviously I haven't focused on it yet so far. This happens to be one of the first times I'm actually talking about anything water polo wise. As head coach James Graham says, we're looking forward to the 2016 season. We've put together a schedule that will test our team against the best programs in the nation. Enough said. Right there. We look forward to competing for a both conference and nation. Well, it's probably supposed to say national championship. It does say nation though. But anyways, more to come on that one. The NorCal tournament at Cal will be 4 games, bracket based on the national rankings leading up to the events taking place September 23rd and 24th. We'll get into more about the men's water polo team as they get closer. We're going to highlight a couple of different teams as they go tonight. We'll look forward to volleyball and field hockey actually today, as we just talked about. It was both those teams had great years last year, so we're going to go ahead. Well, they had good years last year. One had a better year last year, but I think those two teams, those two sports right there in their respective areas, had probably the best seasons. Also, to Tiger News, this happened actually officially as of yesterday. Per PacificTigers.com, Tigers officially announced a pair of hires. With a new year on the horizon, the Tigers softball program will have a new look, as Pacific head coach Brian Colsey has announced the hirings of both Tara Tembe and Tori Yamaguchi as new assistant coaches. The two new coaches begin their careers at Pacific today, August 1st, with the new school year officially kicking off at the end of a month. We are extremely excited to have both Tara and Tori join the program, Coach Colsey said in a statement. They both were established athletes, and they have lots of coaching experience from different environments and levels. Despite being new, both Tara and Tori come with a great familiarity with our program. Both of them understand what we are looking for athletically, academically, for the Pacific student athlete. They understand the philosophy and goals of both the softball program. The softball program, this was off of PacificTigers.com. The softball program is coming off of a year where they were projected to be second in the WCC. And they finished 5th or 6th, I believe, and actually had a real tough year last year. I'm concerned with these new hires. I don't know. It could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. I'm kind of torn behind it. On one end, you have a lot of sophomores and juniors who are used to the other coaching staff, the way that things go. They may have a tough time with this new coaching staff. It's almost like having a new parent, or a new guardian. Yeah. In some ways, or a new boss.
Like halfway through your life. I mean, that's what it sounds like. I mean, they're juniors and some are seniors, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. It can get hard once you've learned something a certain way, you've gotten used to a certain person, a certain coach, and then somebody comes in that might have a totally different approach. So there could be some pushback, but at the same time, if you got mature athletes, mature players, I think they can bridge the gap.
Here's where my twist goes on this is that yes, the fact of the matter is that they are. The the coaching staff, Coach Colsley has been with the Pacific Tigers for now what will be his 25th year. Once the calendar starts, this will be starting his 25th year. He kind of knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I'm using kind of as a obvious, being sarcastic. He knows what he's doing, and I think that he needed to shake things up a bit because whatever happened last year wasn't going to work this year, because this year's team needs to be better than last year's team for obvious reasons. Being with somebody for 24 years doesn't necessarily mean that your job's always safe.
Yeah, that doesn't mean.
And it doesn't mean that he's on the hot seat.
No.
I'm just saying that he knew that something had to change. And so in doing so, he brought in a couple new coaches. Hopefully these coaches, there's a former Delta Mustang, women's Delta Mustang player that goes there now. Maybe it's going to help Haley Moran Rowan a little bit. She struggled this whole year. She's a girl that was averaging 350, 360 last year or the year before last at Delta, and now she was barely breaking the 250 mark.
Damn.
She struggled.
I mean, the flip side of bringing coaches in is it can energize players by giving them that other aspect or other view could energize some of these players and have them seeing things that different in a new light, in a better light. So I think we need to see, but if you have a plan and it hasn't been working, especially what they finished 2 spots lower than they were predicted, right?
Well, actually, I think they finished lower. They were supposed to finish around second. That's prediction-wise. I mean, of course, everything's done on paper for us. I mean, we think that they should be second. They finished, I think it was either 6th or something like that. I'm going to say they finished around the 6th area. They didn't do great.
Yeah. So something. So you need something to jumpstart you. You need something to jumpstart you. And sometimes having everybody back telling you the same thing doesn't do it. So yeah, you're right. He needed to do something. Now we just hope that it helps positively.
At this point after last year, I mean, I think they were so disappointed. I think anything at this point is a big positive. I mean,
so do you think this is like pulling for strings or just reaching? Is it a reach?
I think it's a little bit of a reach, but I mean, I think I'm always open to see new ideas. I've been one of those people that have always been open to at least something. If you're willing to make a change, you got to at least be open about it. So I'm willing to see what it's going to happen. I'm concerned because you're not affecting one person.
Right.
You coming over here, you get a new boss. It's not affecting just you. You're affecting 15 new athletes.
Yeah.
15 to 20, depending on how big his roster is going to be this year. He had a deep bench last year, so I mean he has 15 to 20 athletes coming in that are going to be there next year. Some of them are freshmen, some of them are red shirts, but how is that going to affect? I mean, the freshmen I get.
Yeah.
And if they were just going to work with a freshman, that'd be one thing. These are 2 new coaches that are going to be dealing with and so many different new attitudes. I do have that concern.
So if you're a coach and you're planning to make a decision like this, do you talk to your seniors?
The new seniors coming up, the last year's juniors?
Right. Or the captains or
I do have a discussion. I think I could be open to having a discussion with the captains to saying, hey, this is what's going on, and I want to make sure, hey, I lost a coach, or for whatever reason, whether I had to let a coach go or this coach decided to take on another position somewhere. I think that's when I bring the coach or the captains in and say, hey, Captain A, Captain B, because of these situations, I need you more now than ever, because I've got these 2 new coaches, and I need you to lead this team into saying, I am open to what this coach is telling me. That's what I need.
I agree. You said it. You said it right there. There's nothing else I can put on it. Because you expect the freshmen to already buy in because they don't know any better.
Right.
It's the seniors, the new seniors, and the juniors that you need, especially if the captains buy in, then everything else will fall in place.
That's what a captain does. They look new players, sophomores, juniors, teams, people that are looking at these new captains, because a lot of these are going to be new captains this year because last year's seniors, they're all gone, obviously. They're going to be looking at these new captains and going, well, what do we do now? And so if they see that the captain is hitting instructions from the new coach and everything's okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to follow suit then, because I'm gonna say the majority of the 80%, 75 to 80% of the other players are gonna follow suit. You might have those other couple that says, "Screw it, I don't care what you say. I don't like this coach. I'm done," kind of thing, and that sucks. But unfortunately, that is the reality of what an athlete is.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are new head cases in some ways, and so. We got a few minutes here before we wrap up our 5 minute. We have 5 minutes before we hit the top of the hour. I want to congratulate a couple of Pacific Tigers academics-wise. The Pacific Tiger women's water polo team placed 9 players on the Golden Coast Conference all-academic team. Those were Brindley Bartels, Alish Gwynn, Alexis Hollenrake, Morgan Hurley, Rachel Krieger, Katie Mankey, Megan Nee, Ellen Tiedman, Megan Torrey. I'm surprised I got through that without any serious issues. I'm going to tell you that much right now.
That was great. Started to get a little focus there.
I did. I went from looking at you to went straight to the computer. But anyways, they were among the 63 student athletes honored by the GCC. The team consists of members who carried a 3.0 cumulative GPA on a 4.0 scale, played in at least 50% of the team's contests in the sport's respective season, and was classified as a full-time student who has completed a minimum of 1 semester or 2 quarters at this institution.
Good job.
Pacific's 9 athletes were tied for third most in the conference. The only 2 squads had more recognized athletes as Cal Baptist and Loyola Marymount. Each had 12 members. The Tigers only carried 11 student athletes on the roster who met the playing time and residency requirements. That was coming off of PacificTigers.com. Good
job. Shout out to those athletes.
Absolutely. And you know what? Okay, so the athletic side of things might not have been one of the greatest when it comes to the major sports, basketball, and baseball. Those are the 2 major ones for Pacific. Those are supposed to be the major ones.
Right.
First of all, if you've never seen any of these games, regardless of what sport it is, you need to go see them. And I'm not just talking to Alex, I'm talking to everybody, because they are so competitive. Yes, they've had their struggling years, but they are so competitive, and I have a feeling that these years are going to start turning around on them. I'm just going to kind of go with it. There's been new coaching hires. Obviously, Damon Stoudemire being one of the new men's basketball coach. Mm-hmm. Coach Bradley Davis of the women's team is also probably one of the best players coaches I've seen in a long time. So you start getting that. Greg Gibbons, who we're going to be talking about here in just at the top of the next hour. People like that are always fantastic to talk to. They're great players, coaches. They have a great connection with their players. It's something like where you don't see Nick Saban be around his football players over there in Alabama. This is a completely different, tightly niched group. So as we start to move on, we're going to start talking a little bit about volleyball, but let's go ahead and take a small break as we get close to the top of the 7 o'clock hour, 6 o'clock hour, whatever time we want to feel like it being. You're listening to 209 Sports Talk right here on the 209 YouTube channel. We'll be right back. Oh, okay. That's what he wants.
Hello, son. I'm Dean Rubin from college. I'm here to invite you to join us this fall. You've always wanted to go to college, correct? Yeah. Well, here's that invitation you've been waiting for.
all you got. You can't dream your way into college. There are actual steps you need to take. For all the steps, visit knowhowtogo.org. Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
Ever think of light bulbs as being cool? They are if you choose energy-efficient bulbs and fixtures that have earned the government's Energy Star label. They're so hot, they're cool. Because they burn cool and last up to 10 times longer, you save money and oodles of energy. Change a light, help the environment, save some green. The solution is as close as your nearest lamp socket. Brighten your environmental future. From the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
Drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults.
My parents so by the time my parents talk to me about it, alcohol won't be my only problem.
Alcohol affects their judgment and their future. So start talking before they start drinking. For more information on teens and alcohol, and to learn what you can do, visit the web at stopalcoholabuse.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Ad Council, and this station.
Statistics say that 4 out of 10 high school students will drop out of high school, but sometimes the difference between dropping out and finishing is a boost.
I sort of got messed up into gangs, and there's one girl named Maria. She just told me to get my things straight, and ever since then, she's been there for me.
10 real-life at-risk students are filming their year, so you can see what it's really like trying to get through high school. Go to boostup.org to see their stories, and give someone you know a boost, so they can finish. High school is hard. Graduating is harder. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to 209 Sports Talk right here on the 209 YouTube channel. I am JD Jeff Dominic. Thank you all for joining us today. Man, Alex, we've been, my co-host today, Alex Woods, we've been all over the place. We've kind of started the day off with a little bit of what do you want to, with United States Olympics, and then we kind of started a little talking about the Pacific Tigers. We're going to stay on the Pacific Tiger news, but hour number 2, how you feeling? Still good?
Oh yeah, I'm still here, still locked in.
Still talking sports. Can't get enough of it, right? That's what we do.
Get rid of me now.
Perfect. Well, it is what we do. We do kind of go off topic here a little bit, but let's kind of focus right back here, and as we kind of go, we'll kind of start our little rants like we have been all stinking day so far. The last hour kind of went a little sideways, and we started going off with the Olympics. Next thing you know, we're talking 45 minutes deep into it. So, University of Pacific Tigers women's volleyball is starting just about around the corner. It actually starts Friday, August 26th. That'll be all the way in Auburn, Alabama, when they take the War Eagle Invitational. They will be then cruising right across again. They'll be going across seas as they go into the Hawaiian Airlines Waume Volleyball Classic. That'll be obviously the way that kind of just went. That's going to be in Hawaii. Then they actually start to come home. Last year, if you remember, they didn't actually come home until October. Or actually, I think it was actually technically the last week of September. But it was like August, or it was like September 28th, 29th, something like that. They actually are going to be finally home in the Community Classic, where they'll be taking on Northern Colorado. Then Saturday, they'll be playing a doubleheader. South Dakota and Oregon State. Then they pretty much have a nice homestand. It goes then to West Virginia, California, Stanford, Portland, Gonzaga. The Portland and Gonzaga will be conference games, but it'll be the WCC Pac-12 Showdown. All that stuff will be at home. Then they finally go on the road. Their next road game will be on Tuesday September 27th at Santa Clara, and then they turn around and come right back home Thursday against Pepperdine. Once again, all those will be all.
It's a little more favorable beginning of the schedule for them.
You know what's crazy about this though? Last year, when they went out there, when they were on the road, they actually were winning so much they actually became ranked. They went as high as 21st, nationally ranked. Then they kind of had a little bit of a falter, a little misstep here and there, but ultimately they kind of finished off the season. Finished off the season with a winning record, but had a little bit of a struggle as they kind of went kind of in the middle of the year. I think part of that was because they had a few injuries. They had some things going on where they probably could have won certain matches and unfortunately didn't go into game, to the fifth set here and there, things like that, where I think they probably should have won and didn't. There was a set against don't tell me the BYU match. There was one that they played at home. They should have won that one, and unfortunately they didn't pull that one out. And that was one that was probably one of the, I honestly think that was probably the best matches, probably one of the best matches I saw from the Pacific Tigers that year. I mean, they won a few that were just completely dominating. They also lost a couple that were just kind of shocking.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the scores, and yeah, some of these were real, probably a couple plays away.
Yeah.
Would you say? A couple plays away from winning some of these games?
Just a few.
These matches?
Yeah, just a few misses, a couple kills here and there that should have went down, that didn't go down due to probably some good digs by one of the other players. You're absolutely right. It could have went the other way. This year's roster,
it's a young roster.
Here, I was just going to get there. It was perfect. Last year's roster, they only gave away 3 seniors. 3 seniors went, one of them being their setter, though. Kimmy Whitson is gone. I want to say it's Herrera. She's gone. And also, Holland Crenshaw is gone. So those are the 3 that are gone. Crenshaw was probably one of your primary. Mia was more of one of the back players. Mm-hmm. But those were all 3 were starters. Of course, one of them was your best setter.
So then it's big losing those 3.
It was big, but at the same time, you have your best player. Lexi Ellman is going to be back next year. Elisha Wilk is going to be back. Those 2 girls right there, I think, are going to be probably your big keys. I know that Lexi will be playing in a different position, though, this year. So I'll try and catch up with the head coach at some point, find out what his plans are with her. Same thing with Elijah Wilk. I mean, there's those 2 girls right there have done numerous things. I mean, Lexi last year had 439 kills, I believe, last year. And Allie, she wound up having 250 plus kills as well. Okay. Those 2 girls right there knew what they were doing. Both of them were juniors last year. Obviously, they're going to be seniors this year. The roster, as you just mentioned, Lexi Ellman was a senior. Allie's a senior. And after that, I think that's it. You're going to lose 2 seniors.
Yeah.
And here's the best part about it. And I do remember talking to head coach Greg Givens before the end of the year last year, before the end of the season. And whenever we talked about who he was losing, he would give a little smirk about who he was gaining, because they have one of the highest recruited classes in the area.
And that's a sign of a good coach.
Absolutely. I think they ranked, of course, once again, we've talked about this we'll probably talk about this to no end. On paper, which is what we pretty much go by, and then we criticize once the paper doesn't work out with what happens.
Right.
But on paper, they have like the 23rd or 26th top ranked recruiting class, and that's of the nation. That's not just of California. That's not just of anywhere else. This is of the nation. They have the 23rd ranked recruiting class, which is huge. I mean,
that's huge.
They've recruited people like Skylar Wine, Ashlyn Fleming, who was one of the best in California. She's from San Jose, California. You also have a freshman, Cien Gollop, who's from San Diego, California. I've only heard nothing but great things about her. And then you have great and tall girls this year. Jess Hess, Lauren Klein, both of them are 6'2". Emily Baptista, who's a freshman that, from what I'm hearing, is going to be starting right away. She's 6'2". And then Olivia Petnicki, I heard is probably going to be redshirted this year, but that's a rumor versus what I'm going to know for sure. And then of course your setter is going to your setter, from what I understood, was going to be I can't remember it, but another girl that I'm going to be looking forward to seeing is Alex Holt. She's someone that I think that really needs to have a good year this year. She's a redshirt sophomore. She had her struggles as a freshman last year, and a redshirt freshman. And I think this year needs to be really needs to come through. She had some good games. She had some bad games, and you could see that her youth and inexperience with the college level really showed through last year.
Okay.
So I'm going to be looking forward to her.
Because you want to see that maturity. Absolutely.
There was another one who had a lot of playing time last year, and I'm trying to see. There she is, Macy LaBasse, junior from Modesto, California. She's an outside hitter. She had some pretty good games last year. I want to see her consistency go up. I think this team's going to be a great team next year, and we'll see what happens. But as you said, a lot of home games this year versus last year, where they had, I think it was 21 straight matches on the road. Whew. So, I mean, they were actually in Lexi's hometown area. They were in Lincoln, Nebraska. She's from Omaha, Nebraska, and had a chance to kind of get close to home for a little while.
Yeah.
I think the girl that I'm actually thinking of that I'm going to be looking forward to as well, obviously, Kimmy Kimmy Whitson was their main setter last year, and trying to fill her shoes is going to be Jessica Diedrich, and from Omaha, Nebraska. I wonder how playing against someone from Omaha, Nebraska. She went to Scott Catholic High School, taking on. I wonder if she ever played against Lexi Elman, who went to Marion High School. Both of them from Nebraska. Once again,
I bet you they were rivals.
I've never really understood that, but I was like, man, if you were from the same high school or from two different high schools in the same area, let's say, Stockton, some of the biggest rivals.
Yeah.
Lincoln versus St. Mary's, Lincoln versus Stagg versus Edison. And then they go to the same team, like they go to Delta High School football.
Right.
How can you really survive off that? It's just no more than 6 months ago I wanted to completely rip your throat off.
4 years.
For 4 years. And now all of a sudden I got to play with you for possibly the next 2, depending on how things go. I never understood that, but at the same time, it makes it. You got. I guess you got to soak up some pride a little bit.
Oh, you have to, and you better hope that you hadn't said nothing in those 4 years that can come back to haunt you.
Especially if one of them's if you're playing against you're on the offense, they're on the defense.
Yeah.
Oh, crud, man, I'm sorry. One of the things I said about your mama, and my bad.
Let's be roomies.
Yeah, let's go hang out. I'll buy dinner or something. But your thoughts on this upcoming volleyball season for these girls? You got to only think that this is going to be. You only lose 3 seniors. Your main captain's still there. Lexi Elman, she's almost in the 1,000 kill club. She's about 27 away. She's right there. She's going to start as soon as she hits the 1,000. I think she starts going up the ranks of categories of. Who has the most kills. I think she's not going to be the top 5, but she's going to she has a chance to crack around the top 10.
She'll have her name there.
She's definitely going to have her name there. But having someone like her, having her captain's, her ability plus her leadership, what do you think is going to happen with this team? Do you think that it's time to see what this true team can do? Because Greg Gibbons is going into his 8th season of Pacific Tiger volleyball as well.
I think it's set up nicely for them to have, first of all, have a great start to the season, which can turn into something even better because a lot of these first games are at home. So that gives you time to gel. You don't have to travel and then practice. You can practice at home. You can have those extra conversations in a comfort setting, and you still have your anchors, and that can help a young team push through.
Well, they're going to start right from the start. They're going to Auburn, Alabama, and that's in August 26th, 27th. And then right as the month changes, September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, they're in Hawaii.
Right.
Which Oh darn, that's so horrible. I can't believe that they're going to Hawaii. That must suck.
Gosh, my tan lines.
Good luck. I mean, that's to be honest, that's awesome. I mean, hey, I haven't ever been able to go to Hawaii. I think they've been there since from what I can remember. I think they've been there. This is their third time. I think the second time they've been in the Hawaiian Airlines Waimea Classic. But
and this gives you I guess, a glimpse of what could happen. I mean, you had right in the beginning, you're in tournaments away from home, so you get to see the younger players, how they react to that.
Right.
And then you see how the veterans manage that, and then you come home and you can fix it.
These tournaments, do you think that it's really kind of where the coach is still coach, but he watches the leaders? The team leaders kind of form the rest of it, or especially because these tournaments technically don't mean a lot to them. I mean, they obviously you want to win the tournaments and stuff like that, but they technically you can kind of just see where they're at. Or is this something where you really need to say, hey, we need the momentum as we start to get closer to home?
I had a basketball coach tell me one year that summer games and beginning preseason games and tournaments, it's not his job to coach. He's there to see who will be his coaches on the court come middle of season to the end. Who can be out there without any direction and manage the team and lead. He said that's the time where he can sit back, because like you said, the games aren't totally important, and it gives you a chance to see who's going to be a leader that you weren't ready to be a leader yet.
But do you necessarily agree with that, or should there some give and take there where I'm going to teach you how to do this, but my guys need to be able to teach you further?
I can appreciate it.
Okay.
I can appreciate it more than I dislike it, and the reason I say that is because everybody gets more mature and ready for the season.
I don't know about you. I haven't been mature a day in my life.
I wasn't a captain. I wasn't a captain.
Nice. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off, but I wanted to kind of throw that in there.
But this is I can understand it, because you have those games late in the season where you're not reaching the players like you want, and you want those veterans to step up and have that respect of the team. And these are the times where it starts to be built. So yeah, you have to give a little bit of leeway.
Okay, let's put this a little bit differently now, because we know how young this team is. How much do we have to really put on Lexi and Allie to really do that? Because really, you think about it, you only have two seniors. You have only two seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much do I put on my two captains, my two senior leaders? I wouldn't say necessarily put Allie as a captain, because I don't know that for sure, but I know Lexi is. How much do I put on my two senior leaders in order to lead my team into a big time battle where they have the experience of, yes, we went across, we went 21 straight matches to where we were never home. We'd come home to do schoolwork, and then we're back on the road. We're flying out again. How much do I put on them? How much do I need to be involved in that? It's a little bit different than when my leaders are on the court, because I can expect my leaders on the court. How much do I really need to be involved if I were Coach Gibbons?
I don't think you need to be too much involved. I'd say 25-30%, because you've gone through a season with these players. You already know how they're built.
Most of them.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the two seniors.
Right.
You know how they're built. You know what they can do. So now it's transitioning them for beyond Pacific. So they still need some maturity to happen. They need to have that leadership kind of role put on them to see what they will be about. And what better time to do it at the beginning of the season?
I think you're absolutely. I mean, I see exactly where you're at. There's some things I would change on that. And that's just because the young, they're so young, and there's only two seniors on that team. I think that if I were Coach Gibbons, I need to step in a little bit more I think it's more than a 25-30% mark that you hit. I think you probably need to be involved a little bit more, like 50%. I think there's only so much I would be able to do.
Now, is it only because there's only 2 seniors?
Exactly.
So if it was about, let's say 5.
If there were enough people to be around, yeah, I think if there was like a 4 or 5, or it was more top heavy juniors and seniors,
right?
I feel a little bit differently. But I'm talking, I have 5 freshmen or 4 or 5 freshmen on my team.
They're looking at 2 people of like what to do.
Exactly. So in my opinion, I need to be a little bit more involved. Now, I can only do so much. I can't make them 100% once they hit the court. I can't be their person on the court. They have to be that. And that's where Lexi and Allie, and Allie's not a very outspoken girl. She does need to be that outspoken girl. I would love to see her, what she could do as a senior. Lexi, you get on the wrong side. I've seen where she's been very vocal. Beautiful young lady, just don't get on her bad side.
Right.
Allie, beautiful young lady, but she's very passive. And Lexi they're so complete opposites. I think that's why they worked actually so well together over the last year. But last year went 17-15, 17-13, 8-10 in conference. Are we looking at another year like that? That's what I'm kind of curious at. You've got 2 seniors that are really great as far as getting their kills. They can score you a lot of points. They can get you a lot of wins. Do they have enough there in order to get to go over that mark? Or can they get it to conference? Can they get into the top? Can they get the top 3 of their conference?
That's a hard one. When you put it like that, that is a hard one to put on 2 seniors. You are absolutely right. I wasn't really looking at the whole thing. I mean, gosh, I think you might know. You might know by the beginning of September what you have.
After the third tournament.
After the third tournament,
okay.
I think you kind of know what you might have,
and that's fair because coaching staffs. I mean, they won't know who they have 100%. I mean, injuries or okay, she's a freshman, but she's not working out for me at this moment. I need to put somebody else in there.
Right.
I can see where you're going with that. Now let's put this out there into perspective as well. They lost their last 2 before the end of the season. They had a 2-match losing streak. Their conference, they were 8-10. They're away, they were 8-7. On a neutral site, they were 5-1. At home, they were 4-5.
Whoa.
So I'm okay with the neutral sites.
Yeah.
I'm tickled pink with the neutral sites.
Sounds like they should have been playing nothing but neutral sites.
I'm happy with the away.
What was it,
8-7? You had a winning record on the road. I have a problem with being 4-5 at home. And I'm going to put it in 2 things. 2 things I'm going to say was, 1, the fan base needs to be there. I'm not outing them. I'm just saying the fan base needs to be there. I'd love to see that place erupt. That place can be loud when it needs to be, and I want to see that place erupt. That's 1. 2, I think it is at this point, it's now time to see the senior leaders, the 2 that we know, it's time to see them become better than 4-5 at home.
Yeah.
Because they deserve it. 2, they need to show it too.
I agree. Yes, fan base is critical, especially in college sports, I think, more importantly than professional. I mean, you're getting paid, so you're already motivated to play. College, sometimes you need that extra motivation from the crowd, and that just energy kind of can change you.
It's what pushes you. Yeah. When you're 4th and goal, 10 seconds to go. I mean, of course, I'm talking football terms now, but 4th and goal, 10 seconds to go. You hear that crowd noise. You're down by 5. You want that little extra push.
Yep.
That's what gets you. I mean, 4th quarter, 10 seconds, things like that where you insert, cliche here. Sometimes that fan base is what pushes you over. Oh, maybe that's what would have, if we'd have had, if the Tigers would have had that fan base, maybe they would have had that extra point. Maybe instead of 8-10, we're talking 9-9 on a conference record, or maybe we're talking a 6-3 at home record. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. What are you doing anyway? Come out to the game and support. It's Stockton, California. This is one of the bigger events that happens in this city. Pacific Sports.
Where else can you see Division One volleyball, Division One basketball
Exactly.
at a decent price?
Exactly.
I guarantee you go to Kentucky, you ain't paying these prices over there.
No, you're not.
Guaranteed.
No, you are not.
So definitely looking forward to some Pacific Tiger volleyball coming up. That's already coming up. I'm going to try and get with Coach head coach Greg Gibbons at some point before the season starts, as well as Lexi Ellman. She's always a great person to talk to. Really, what's funny about her is, like, I try and tell her about all her accolades and things that she's done. And she's like, oh, thanks. I didn't really know anyone cared, paid attention, or she's very humble about what she's done. I mean, I think she knows what she's done, but I don't think people realize the things is that I don't think she realizes on how many people actually care about what she's done.
Right.
And she's done a ton of great things, and so it's always great to get with her and talk to her about her recent she's getting up there. This is her senior year. She's going to let it all hang out. She's gotten stronger. She's gotten faster. She's gotten better at her position. Once again, she had 450 kills last year, or 430, something like that. I don't have it in front of me, but she's done so many things that people would absolutely love, and she's 493 kills. Oh my goodness, I've shortchanged her. She had 493 kills last year. As a junior. Woo. She's one of the defensive players of the year. She's done so many things that that any other college right now would love to have her. We have her here in Stockton. Go out and support her. Go out and support the Tigers volleyball team. Not only that, when we come back, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and support the volleyball or the field hockey team as well. So more to come right here on 209 Sports Talk, part of the 209 YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
This is Scott Back. Did you know that just being around someone who smokes can cause severe lung problems, heart disease, and cancer? But there is something you can do about it. Call for a free booklet from the Will Rogers Institute. It clearly explains the proven risks of secondhand smoke and the ways you can avoid exposure. Toll free 1-877-957-7575, because secondhand smoke is dangerous. Believe it.
In 1805, Lewis and Clark described in their journals a country teeming with wildlife. They wrote of scenes of endless beauty and of meeting more than 100 nations of American Indians whose lives were one with our environment. Now, imagine what Lewis and Clark and the American Indians they met would say if they walked the trail today. Would they be pleased? Or would they feel differently? As we commemorate the Lewis and Clark Bicentennial, we encourage you to consider what's been lost and what we can do to preserve what's left of the trail that still winds through us all. Walk with Lewis and Clark and see what you discover at www.lewisandclark200.org.
Send her there. Please support the United Negro College Fund and call 1-800-332-UNCF, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. A public service brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
The big people over there, and there's some little difference. Brown shoes, brown belt. Black shoes, black belt. The next time then and
Brought to you by MetLife Foundation, National Association for the Education of Young Children, and the Ad
That's right. We're talking a little Pacific Tigers, so why not have a little bit of Eye of the Tiger in us, right?
Oh, man.
Well,
I heard this song throughout high school.
little
Tokay Tigers.
Little Rocky 3 or something like that, and thrown out there too. Welcome back to 209 Sports Talk right here on the 209 YouTube channel. I am JD Jeff Dominic, along with my new co-host, which I'm so happy that he's here with us. That being Alex Woods.
It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure.
Oh man! So we were talking off the break how much fun we've been having, and shoot, we got about a half hour left. I think you know what? Because I'm the man that runs it. We may have to go in a little bit of OT. We'll see how things go. But things are running pretty long today, but we're having a great time. Thank you all for joining us today. As we get a little bit further in, we just kind of were getting off as we were talking about the Pacific Tigers volleyball team. We were kind of trying to throw out our predictions, which didn't work very well, but that's okay. We'll have more as we get closer to the season, and we want to see what they're going to do as well. I mean, I think there's a lot of unknowns at the moment.
I mean, I could speculate and say, yeah, the 8 and 10 is not going to happen.
They're so young.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
That's the thing. I mean, I was close, but then you posed all the parameters or all the intangibles to seniors, a young team.
Was it 5 freshmen?
Yeah. Who knows, man? Like I said, after those first three tournaments, I think they'll know what they have, and we can probably give a better prediction of what the season will look like.
Well, I think I'll get a little bit more of a known what's going on after I'm able to talk to head coach Greg Gibbons and talk to Lexi a little bit.
Yeah.
See if I can get a hold of Allie as well, Alicia Wilk.
To see their mindset going into the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've had their own. I mean, they've done such a great job. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that Coach Gibbons will feel that they're that unprepared. And I think that Lexi and Allie will. I think they'll all be ready to go. I think they'll have everybody in order. And I think, but I agree with you too. I think that the young freshmen, I want to see what those girls can do, and I really do want to see what Alex Holt can do too. I think last year she had such an inconsistent year. Same thing with Macy Labasse. Two young girls. One of them is a redshirt sophomore this year. The other one's a junior. Let's see what they can do now.
Yeah.
Let's see what those girls can do too, because those are going to be those are going to be the 4 that are going to be the main catalysts of that team. So be curious about it. As we move on here, we're going to move on to a little bit more Pacific Tiger stuff, and we're going to talk a little field hockey. Pretty random, as we talked about that in the beginning of the show.
Pretty random.
Never really would have thought that we should talk about field hockey, but when you talk about the team that they have and coach the coaching staff and the team that they have right now, you got to kind of talk about them, because last year they had a great solid season. Last year they had, in 19 games, they scored 34 goals at 1.8 goals per game. Went 11-8 in the season. Had a 5-3 conference record. 5-4 at home, 5-3 on the away, 1-1 in neutral. They beat teams like Cal. They've done some great things. They beat UC Davis. They beat Cal 2-1. They just barely lost to a number 13th ranked Stanford 2-1. They beat New Hampshire 2-1. They lost to probably their worst loss was to Albany, the number 8th ranked team. Overall, great season.
Yeah.
Coach Black is from South Africa. He's got another He's got a team, or he's got a athlete on that team that's from South Africa as well. Savannah Burns. She's from Somerset West, South Africa. Went to Somerset College. She's going to be a junior this year. She led the team for a while. And I don't know if she led the team the rest of the year, but at one point she was leading the team in assists, goals, and one other category as well. I mean, she was pretty much doing it all. And so she's going to be probably your captain again. They have, let me look through this just to make sure I'm not lying to anybody. They have their goalkeeper, Laura Plate, who's going to be their senior this year. I actually thought she was a senior last year, but I could have been wrong, and I wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last, because Alex will correct me a lot, because I know he'll call me out, and I'm okay with it. Catherine Egan is a senior, so there's 2.
There's 4.
Kylie Morrison, that's 2, that's 3. Oh, they have 5.
5.
Sydney Brooks and Ali Campos. Campos is going to be, I think, is going to have a good year this year as well. All 4. So they have 5 seniors on a team. I was just looking at it. They have 18 players. And okay, so the idea of field hockey, their stick looks like
22 players.
Is it 22? Perfect. Their stick looks like a candy cane, like an overlong candy cane is what it looks like. It's very small. It's not like a hockey stick. It has a U shape that goes at the bottom. Almost looks like a J, uppercase J. And of course, they're not skating. They're not on ice skates. They're not on roller skates. They're running. And last year, if you remember what happened last year in Stockton, California, it got hot for a very long time. It was like it stayed hot until September.
Yeah.
Late September. It was a hot, dry. I mean, insert adjective here, and that's what it was. Well, this year they're going to be pretty much in the same boat. I think it's going to be hot for a while. Fortunately, their first games start in August. They'll be at the Olympic Club Sunday 21st, or August 21st, then the 26th at Yuba Brothers, and then Sunday the 28th they'll be taking on Connecticut. September 3rd, they'll be taking on Alumni. Alumni games are fun. If you've ever seen an alumni game, it's the former Pacific athletes taking on the current athletes. They call, I think one of them they call them. It's like they call them the Tigers versus the Kittens or something like that. It's pretty funny. They all kind of go at each other. It's awesome to watch. Monday the 5th they will take on Kent State, and then they start kind of going on the road. They'll be playing at Harvard, and they'll be taking on all the smart people at Dartmouth.
Yeah.
They'll be taking on versus Bryant versus Vermont. This will be all on the road. They'll be out of state taking on these teams as well. Then they'll take on Drexel. Then they'll finally get home Sunday at 1 o'clock. I think that will probably be one of the very first games I'll be able to actually catch when they take on Drexel. Then they take on Long Island, Brooklyn, St. Louis, Missouri State, Appalachian State, Davidson. These are all on the road. After Drexel, that's the 18th. They'll be taken on for about I'm going to say, well, probably about just around 3 weeks. They're going to be taking on Long Island, St. Louis, Missouri State, Appalachian State, Davidson, Stanford, and then at UC Davis to round everything up. That would be Friday, October 14th. Then they finally are able to come home. They'll take on Stanford, California, UC Davis. The UC Davis, the Stanford, and California games are all conference games. Those will be Sunday the 16th of October, Sunday the 23rd of October, and Sunday the 21st. I know I kind of went in between that. My apologies. I kind of went ahead of myself. But this one is very eerily similar of what volleyball was last year. A lot of away games, a lot of games on the road, a lot of let's see what we're made of kind of things.
Yeah. And when I'm looking at how they finished up last year, one thing that jumps out at me, they only lost one game in a row.
Right.
So they weren't, they didn't have a lot of fall off. They were fixing things right away.
Yep. Now, and a lot of it revolves around Savannah Burns. Savannah Burns she's being as young as she was last year, to do what she did last year was absolutely phenomenal. And I can only say that she's probably going to be the true leader of the team again. And she probably will... where did I go with that? I did not mean to go there. But anyways, she'll probably be there again. And, I mean, she'll probably be the team leader in goals. She'll probably be the team leader in assists. She'll probably be the team leader insert where she'll probably be the team leader in here. And she'll probably be it. I would like to see the 1.8 goals a game scares me a little bit. Shows me that they don't have a lot of offense.
Yeah.
They rely a lot on their defense, and their defense is stout. I mean, as you talk about the recent games, the last one they lost was the one against Albany. They would go 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. The alumni game I don't think counts, but they went 6-2 and then 4-2. So, they were only giving up 1 or 2 goals a game up until the game against Albany.
Yeah.
So I think that their defense is going to be another year of their defense going to be the biggest hurdle. Here's Savannah Burns. In 19 games played, she started all 19 games. She had 9 goals. That's the team lead. 7 assists. She led the team in that. 25 total points. She led the team in that. So her shot percentage is .122. You're going to want to see that go a little bit higher. But you know what? At the same time, Laura Pujade was a junior last year. My apologies. But anyways, so she'll be probably in the goal again next year. You want to see her improve a little bit on her shot selection. But also, I mean, she can only do so much. 9 goals, team lead, 25 total points. She was all over the place. So I think that she's gonna be the key, but I think she needs to boom, something was on your side. But she's gonna need to get other people involved a little bit more. I think that if the assists need to go into more double digits, I think the goals need to I think with the assists going in double digits, getting more people involved, I think she'll also see that her shot selection will be a little bit more available to her as well. You could see that at the end of the year, a lot of the teams were gearing around her, really game planning around her. I think that things need to change a little bit on her end as well. So I think Coach Black will have his work cut out for him. But a very young team, and yet I think they'll do a lot more. Pujade being a senior this year, the senior goalkeeper, I may have a chance to talk with her and try and see what her thoughts are in the season. I'm going to try and get a hold of Coach Black as well. I know he's anticipating it. This is his 4th year, and he told me last year that in his 3rd year he had expected to be right here. He pretty much said that this is where my expectations were. This is where I want to be. So
I mean, you win a couple of these games that they lost last year, and they're right there at the top. I mean,
well, they did make it to the tournaments last year.
Yeah, so you improve just a little bit more consistency. I think you might be there in the end.
I think we agree that in every sport, it is a game of inches. We've heard that cliche. It is a game of inches in every sport, though. I think some people think that it's just in one spot and one here or there. It's a game of inches no matter what sport you're playing, and this is no exception. One goal, one miscue, one cue that could have said, "Oh, if I didn't turn that ball over, turn the ball over here, we may not have given up that goal. Right. We could have been looking at a 1-0 game. We might have won that game when we lost 2-1 or whatever."
Yeah. You could have could end up 7-1 in conference. I mean, it's just those little things. But what you expect as a coach is that another year brings more maturity, and for your good players, more IQ of the sport.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. I mean, the not only with that
IQ.
Not only with that, but you also look at some of the games that you lost or won, and that being the game at Cal. That game at Cal, that game right there on October 28th, they actually lost to Cal no more than a week and a half or 2 weeks before that. They actually lost 2-1 to them. So they were able to come back to Cal, went to Cal Berkeley, took on the Golden Bears, and beat them on their turf 2-1. So kind of return the favor, if you will.
Yeah, they lost 0-1 September 11th in October, and then won 2-1 the 28th.
Okay.
So yeah.
So they were, and at that time, I believe Cal was ranked at that time. I'm not 100% positive, but they were playing a really good Cal team who was on fire and wound up losing to them 1-0, as you just told me, and they were able to go back to their turf, take them on, and was able to beat them. These are things that, okay, it's great to celebrate the win, but let's learn from this too.
Exactly.
These were huge wins and huge ways to learn and to show what a team needs to do to grow.
And I think having that only, 1 game losing streak showed you that they were learning some of this.
Yes. Yeah, so, they didn't play around. I mean, and even the games, okay, you can lose a game at Stanford, a number 13th ranked Stanford, 2-1. That tells you a lot, but those big wins against Cal, like the 2-1 wins, that's where you do your biggest learning. I mean, I truly believe that. Sometimes when you have your hardest times to beat a team that you know has already beaten you once, and you're able to beat them, I think that's where you learn your most.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to them. I'm not going to give out any predictions on this one yet, just because I kind of feel this way, like you do about volleyball. I want to see something first.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to catch them, it doesn't sound like, until the 18th of September, which is probably the best thing because it probably won't be as excruciating, painfully hot. But we'll see. I'm not 100% positive that I'll be able to not miss or to miss another or to actually catch another game. But I just looking at their schedule, it looks like it's going to be difficult. I'll find out where these other ones are because even though they show them at home, I think they're going to be playing somewhere else.
As long as you're making the positive steps and the right steps in the right direction, come conference play.
Right.
Well, once the conference play comes, you should already know who your team is, what people you can rely on, and what you can expect when the times get tough. I think by the time you get to conference play in any sport, you need to have those questions answered.
Well, and you do kind of have a little bit more of a leeway because you do know who your pretty much go-to players are. You have 5 seniors, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
You have your team leader, though, is a junior who you know very well. One, because she's from South Africa, and you kind of have that kind of bond. But you already know what she was able to do because she's already done she was a team leader in a lot of categories last year. So she knows the program.
Right.
So you have a lot of the upper tier, where you're not as top heavy, or you're more top heavy this year than you were last year. Last year you had more juniors.
It's like what you would kind of want in the volleyball team,
right?
To be a little bit more top heavy to try to help out and bridge that gap. So yeah, given what their season last year, given the makeup of the team this year, the only thing I can say is I could see them being, I'd say 2-3 spots higher
than last
than last year,
because you have a little bit more of the learning curve is a little bit bigger now.
If I'm a coach, I bank on my players coming back that have the experience, especially the seniors. I bank on them excelling and improving to where I don't even need to talk to them.
Yeah, no regression. Yeah.
They're not even the concern. And then the maturity of the freshmen coming in and the willingness to work and understand. If I have that, and especially with the group of upperclassmen that you have and the talent,
have at it. Yeah.
Have at it. Those are the times where you can sit back and just coach here and there. Just bring in the small things that people aren't getting. The bigger stuff, I want you to explain this to the younger and then show them how to do it. And then I'll brush up on some things that you guys miss.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with that. Your prediction is better than what I would have thought, because what's funny is you predicted this a little bit better than I could have, because I was thinking, okay, but you're absolutely making a lot of sense. As where you caught on to where the senior leadership was there. I didn't really catch on to that, so I can see where you're going with it, and it makes a lot of sense that the seniors being there and the junior that was your team leader last year, or your team that led the team in points and goals and assists and all this other stuff. All that's still there. Your core's still there.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense that that they could be even better than they were last year. And they had a good season last year.
They had a great season. I mean, what?
5-3 conference play. They had a great
11-8 overall.
11-8.
That's good.
I can see them being. So what we're saying is, okay, so 19 games. We're saying 13-7, 14-6, or 14-5, or what? I mean,
I'm
13-2, 13-6. Yeah, 13-6.
Yeah, 13-6. I'm right around there.
Okay.
13-6, 14-5. Yeah.
Is 14-5 pushing it a little bit, or is that, you think that's possible?
I think that's pushing it.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's pushing it
because of the competition. Cal.
Yes.
Stanford.
Yes. And it's once you hit conference play, that's what you're doing.
Right.
You're not playing anybody else. So when you play in the conference, anything can happen, man.
Of course.
That's what's conference.
It's rivals.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about. So the games that you think you might have an edge on, you might go in there and be shocked. So yeah, I'd say 13-6 is probably where I want to see the team at, and that would be success.
I'm with you. I don't really think I think you get my stamp of approval on it. I don't think there's much more I can say behind it other than I think you're right. So, let's see here. We are running on. We got 10 minutes left, so we are going to be running into overtime. But I think what we'll do is let's move over to some San Joaquin Delta College news, because we may know a lot about the players we're going to see for Pacific. We don't know who we're going to see for Delta, especially football.
Yeah.
You're losing almost, I think it was like, if I rounded it up right, I think you lose about 84 or 85% of your offense this year. Kimball's gone. Owens is gone. Your wide receivers are pretty much are all gone, but except for one, I think.
Is the running back gone too?
Evan Owens, yeah, he went to Nevada.
Yeah.
Or no, not Nevada. Well, yeah, UNLV. So, they're all gone. I mean, they have no, 417 yards a game total, rushing 164, passing 253, 30.6 points per game. That's all gone. And then you look at your defense too. Curtis Young gone. There's a lot of these guys are no longer there. Let me see if I can get to your defense. So Jackson Wagner gone. Michael Sewell gone. Alec Van Albensiven gone. Johnny Wiernicki I think is still going to be there. Andre Lindsay is gone. Evan Owens gone. Alex Lee gone. Jalen Ward gone. Twain Ario Adams, which personally I didn't care if he stayed. Twain Ario Adams, I got a personal problem with him, and it's just because I think he made some bad decisions for the team that hurt him down the road. But Twain Ario Adams gone. Arnold Kimball, as we just mentioned, gone. Bastian Jimenez gone. He's a linebacker. Charles Walker gone, wide receiver. That's all those people I just named off, minus that one wide receiver, defense, or that linebacker gone. Defensively, no, that's all purpose. I don't want to go all purpose. I want to go receiving. Defense. Curtis Young gone. Joel Jimenez gone. Actually, your defense is a little younger. Dejan Mingo is still there. He's a linebacker freshman. Daniel Ruffin, actually, I think he's gone. Christopher Sampino, gone. Winston Green, gone, who made some of the most incredible defensive plays I've ever seen in my life. Benjamin Jones, linebacker, gone. Christian Valeros, which he made some defensive plays that were great too. He's gone. Sterling Avery, Deontay Chambliss, Michael Freimeyer, all those guys gone. Gone. Who are we relying on?
And these are production players.
Oh yeah.
These aren't guys just sitting there with a clean jersey at the end of the game.
No, these are 85% of your team right there, basically, that did something on that team currently. Gone.
I'll tell you what. I think all you're trying to do as a coach is make sure everything doesn't sink.
Well, they have a couple freshmen. Don't have a lot of experience, but Logan Lopez, he's a freshman. He went 4 for 6 in his only passing attempts. He's played in 5 games. Jake Pruitt's another one. They're going to be who we're going to see, quite honestly. I mean, those sound like the two guys that we're going to see. You know, it's tough. I mean,
it's real tough. Oh my gosh, I did not know this many people were gone.
So when you look at something, and now we got to put your coaching hat back on. When we look at something like this, we got to think of this is probably one of the hardest things to ever do, because you're only getting these guys for 2 years. I've always said this for a very long time, for the time that I've known how this truly works. You only see them for 2 years, sometimes 3 if they redshirt or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest part is now you've had your whole sophomore crew that did a lot of your stuff. They're gone. How can you motivate now? I mean, you got a lot of motivation behind you right now. You just came off a bowl win. You went off of a 7-4 season, which before that you went off of a 1-9 season.
Yeah.
You've done some great things. How do you keep the 7-4 momentum with these freshmen and keep it going?
I don't think you sell them the 7-4, because
what do you sell them on then?
Hard work. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but you have to sell them on just putting in the work.
Well, the 7-4 has to mean something in order to motivate them. I would think a little bit. Say, hey, look, I had a team that got their nose kicked in the dirt and went 1-9. They were freshmen. Philip Kimball was my 1-9 quarterback. He started for me the next year and helped me go to a bowl game. Freshmen, you new freshmen that are now going to be sophomores, you helped me motivate these guys, and we'll be near there. I can't guarantee you. I can't promise you.
Exactly.
But we may be a 5-5 team. We may be a 4-6 team. We may be a 1-9 team. But you do what I put. If you buy into my program, we may be a 1-9 team. But that next year, we're going to be better. We're going to kick tail, because they did. I mean, they did. I've never seen such a scrappy young group of guys in my life that have ever said, I don't care what we were the year before. We're way better than that.
It was a complete turnaround.
Absolutely. I think it actually, truth be told, I think it turned around the program. I think it's for recruiting purposes. I think it turned around the program.
And maybe you hold on to that. I mean, just what you were explaining, turning everything around and just keeping that motivation going. But I just think a lot. If you say too much, it starts to be unrealistic. Just because of, you said 85% of your production is gone.
Mm-hmm. You can't replace that.
Not in a year. I don't think you can replace that.
We got to find the offense from somewhere, right? So that offense is that 85% still has to be there somewhere. It just has to be with different names attached to it. So the only problem is that who are those going to be, those guys? We don't know. I mean, I don't think, and quite honestly, up until probably the end of next week, I don't think the coaches truly know.
Well, to that point, I think if you're a good coaching staff, you were dealing with this last year. I think you were talking to the younger guys that were going to be there this year. You were prepping them for this. Like, you see how such and such is doing it. We're going to need you to be that next year. Just motivating. I wouldn't call it silent motivating, but subtle.
Okay.
Subtle. Just prepping. Just keeping it in their head that, pay attention. I'm going to need you next year. It's not going to be a lot of us that were here this year. They're going to be back. I'm going to need you.
Yeah, and well, I mean, you look at the quarterback situation. I'm going to start from the top. The quarterback situation is so scary right now. You have, I mean, just by this piece of paper right here, I have Logan Lopez and Jake Pruitt, who are the two quarterbacks, number 7, number 12. They had to learn a lot from Arnold Kimball, because if you had a chance to see Arnold Kimball in the 1-9 season, that poor kid was running for his life every time he snapped that ball. Well, now he actually was still running for his life. And this is a kid that's 6 foot. He's not a prototypical quarterback. He went to a D2 school last year. 6 foot tall.
Okay. 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's not bad.
No. And the year before that, I actually think he did better, actually, as a freshman.
2,700 yards, 60% completions?
Yeah.
Not bad.
No, he's gritty. That's what I like about him. He's gritty. But now you got to look at these other two guys. You got to be gritty too now. I think it's time for
8 total games between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, here's a question for you. You're the coach.
Mm-hmm.
what do you do with 8 total games between 2 players? You don't even know who's your guy.
And that's where the good coach would come through, and I think that's where he goes to his high school times. What did Logan Lopez do as a freshman in this situation? Yes, he hasn't had much playing time with me at the Delta level, at the JC level. But now I got to really focus on why did I bring him to my team? Why did I want him here? There's a reason why I recruited him to play with me on my team.
So you got to go back to the beginning.
I got to go back to the beginning. Unfortunately, it has to happen, but I think that's where the good coaching side would come through. You need to, okay, what I had in Arnold Kimball, what I had in Philip Kimball, won't work with. He's 6 foot. He had to run around a lot in order to see the open receiver and do a couple different things. Mm-hmm. What I have with Jake Pruitt, he may be 6'3". He may be a lot lengthier. I need more time to put him in the pocket. Now, you know what? I'm going to put my running backs, and I'm going to have more of a split back set and let him have a little bit more time. Maybe I'll keep him maybe I'll put him under center. Maybe I won't put him under center. It's just so many different things that could actually happen. Maybe he works better in a pro style versus a spread offense. There's so many different things I could look at right now, but I would have to see who he truly was. So that's where I'm at with it.
It is going to be intense.
It's going to be fun.
Yes. These guys are going to be put through it, I have a feeling. Because when you don't have a lot of answers to your questions, now you're just experimenting. And to do that, you have to be able to move people around and just try to figure things out. And I think, going out to those early practices, you'll see a lot of that. You'll see a lot of that happening. I
think also you're gonna in this case you may be that 1-9 team again. You may be that 1-9 team again.
You might be, because
you're gonna, as you just said, experiments sometimes suck.
Hey, what's the most important position in football?
As far as
on offense?
Oh, quarterback.
On defense?
Middle linebacker.
So your quarterback,
Philip Kimball.
Yeah.
And your team leader, Curtis Young, on defense.
And now you don't have that. You don't have any of those answers for your 2 main positions.
The reason why I say, I don't know if you agreed with me or not on it. These are my opinions as far as those positions go. And the reason why I say that is because the quarterback, everyone looks to the quarterback when they're trying to get the game-winning drive. Everyone looks to the quarterback when they're even trying to start a drive. When the game begins, people look at that quarterback, see how he feels, if he's confident, if he's nervous. They all feel off of him. They feed off of whatever energy he's giving off. If he's nervous, okay, we're gonna have the nervous energy. As soon as he gets his confidence in him, sometimes quarterbacks are nervous when they start, and once they get on the field, it's a different scenario, and people will feed off of that. Other players will feed off of that. Mm-hmm. Middle linebackers a little different. They're not necessarily nervous, but they expect to see him to put everybody in the right position, so that way, 1, they won't get hurt, and 2, they're going to make the right play.
Right.
So that's my opinion why the middle linebacker is so important, and that's my opinion why the quarterback is so important.
I agree 100%. Quarterback, that's your coach. That's your on-the-field coach. Mm-hmm. Middle linebacker, I would say for me on defense, it's middle linebacker or your safety.
Yeah, good point.
For the same reasons. They see the field, they direct the players on the field, and they should know the playbook better than anybody else on the field.
Absolutely, 100% correct on that. The quarterback and the linebacker, in my case, the linebacker, need to pretty much sleep with their playbooks. That's just how much they need to be intense with that. I do have I think we both have our concerns when it comes to Delta and their football team. I'm curious about it. I tried to hit up Coach Murray here recently, to no avail, but that's okay. We'll be touching bases here soon. I'll send him another text here soon or something like that. We'll get an interview with him and see what his opinions are, and I know he's got some nervous energy, and I'm sure he's just been so busy with this team. It's probably been beyond belief.
So just looking at the roster and just roughly going over it, they have about 5 to 6 returning linebackers.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
The linebacking core is going to be fine.
And most of these, well, yeah.
I think defensively they'll be fine.
I think so, because the names you read off that are still going to be there, looking at their numbers, they produced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the defense might be more ready than the offense. Will be ready quicker than the offense, I think.
Fair enough. I completely agree with you on it.
Which, in my opinion, is good.
Right?
You need a good defense. You need a good defense. So if you can stop guys, yes. Hopefully you can get close to kick a field goal if you can't score.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the issues last year too was field goal kicking. So
yes, they were.
So you got to figure that out too. So next on the docket is going to be San Joaquin Delta College women's volleyball. I mean, we've been on a volleyball kick. Might as well keep it pretty much finish strong with that, because that will be the our last segment on the show, and then we'll tease what's going to happen on Saturday, because I know I'm already juiced for it. I mean, heck, I can just go ahead and we can just go ahead and start that show now if you want. No, I can't. But women's volleyball once again had another great season. I mean, they didn't get a conference championship, but 12-2 conference record, 21-6 overall. Another year where they had won 20 or more games. I believe that's the fourth win in a row. Coach Molly Mordaunt, she does a phenomenal job for this women's volleyball team. She gets them pretty much on pace every year. Their last loss was against Cabrillo. That was in the second round of the playoffs again this year, or last year, I should say. And that was after getting wins at Diablo Valley, who were the eventual winners of, or I'm sorry, it was Sierra who was the eventual winners of the conference. They actually wound up beating them twice. They beat Diablo Valley, Modesto, Sierra, Butte, Sierra, and then they wound up winning or losing to Cabrillo in the second round of the playoffs again. And so it's frustrating that this team can barely get over that second hump, but they do such a great job. I mean, they were out of 94 sets, they were 49th, 28th in the conference. They had 97 total blocks in the conference. That was good for 13th. They had 135 block assists. That was good for the conference, fourth in the conference. 1,038 digs. That was good for fourth. Service aces per set, 1.49. That was pretty high in the unfortunate side of the conference. But they did so many good things. And, this is what's the hardest spot, is that, once again, I think that JC level coaches have probably one of the hardest jobs, but probably one of the most fun jobs all at the same time, I guess is the best way to really say it, because they're coaching players for only 2 years, trying to get them to buy in so that way they can motivate them to go to a 4-year college. So it's hard because, okay, once again, I only get you for 4 years or 2 years, where a 4-year college can have you for 4. So it becomes a little frustrating.
You have to buy in. You have to buy in real quick. Oh, well, you have to recruit well.
And
that's the thing.
If there's anyone at Delta, there's 2 coaches that I have the hugest respect for that are able to do that, seem to be able to do that year in and year out. And that's no disrespect to any other coach. I think what they do is probably one of the toughest jobs in the world, as Alex is looking for something. But it's probably one of coaching JC level is probably one of the toughest things, because you, once again, as Alex just said, you have to have them buy in, and it's so hard to have somebody buy in when you only get them for a small period of time. Coach Mordaunt for women's volleyball is one of those coaches that, for whatever reason, she has that it. I don't know what it is, but she has it because she's always able to bring a winning product to the team, to Delta. The other person is Coach Reed Peters, baseball coach. Every year, they're always going to the championship games, or they're going to the Final Four. They're going to, they're just doing so many different things. Both those coaches, they are beyond. I mean, once again, it's no disrespect to any other coach. It never has been, never will be. My intent was to promote these 2 coaches and for what they're able to do. They do something that I don't know if it's the kind of water they give them to drink. No offense to Rio, but I'm sure it's not that kind.
No, it's not.
But I'm sure that whatever it is, they're able to do it. And Coach Mordaunt, I think, has another year where she's going to have another winning product. She's bringing back a couple of players this year. And I think the one that we're really looking for is Daniela Erdelatz. She's the number 5. I believe that was who I was looking for. She, yeah, actually it was, because Cassidy Caton is actually the sophomore. So Daniela Erdelatz, if she hasn't gotten signed by anybody, if she's going to be there one more year, she had a great season last year.
318 kills?
318 kills for a freshman.
Goodness.
For a freshman, which that's why I'm concerned that I might have lied to everybody and she might not be back next year, but we'll see. I'll be, once again, I mean, these are coaches I'm going to be touching base with because I want to know. I mean, that's just all there is to it.
I think you absolutely want to know what's going on with her. That's a real big cog in your system.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of other players that did such a great job. I'm pretty sure Gray's not going to be there anymore. There's a lot of players that did such a great job. I still remember, I believe it was the game against Sierra where I wound up interviewing Gray. Yeah, Lizzie Gray. She made the game-winning kill. And I don't know who she wanted to find a hug first, and she completely flipped out. I mean, she was excited, beside herself. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a great emotion from a player than what she was able to provide in that game. But she made the game-winning kill against Sierra to basically to move on to the next game, to the next week, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But this is one group that I can only I feel so bad for because they're only able to go so far, but they're also do so much. They do such a great job. So I'm wondering what she's going to bring up next year, and what I'm thinking is like sometime next week, maybe, or in an upcoming show, I'll have that interview ready to go, and we'll play that interview here.
Do you have an early prediction?
Oh, they're going to be conference contenders. That's just because of the way who she is. Coach Mordaunt just seems to always have
them ready.
Have them ready, exactly. So I'm going to say conference contenders again. I mean, if they don't win 20 games, I'll be shocked. Or 20 matches. Another 20-match win season for them. So, but yeah, that's kind of where we were at with it. I mean, our show has gone a little long. So what I'm thinking we should do, we've got a few other stories, but I think we're pretty much going to kind of call it at this point. We got about, let's do this. We got about 15 minutes. I'll call it 15 minutes. We'll call it a 2.5-hour show. And we're going to tease what we got coming up on Saturday. As we said in the beginning of the show tonight, we're going to move things over a little bit. And I've always liked to, as I joked around on, if you've ever heard some shows that I've done in the past, whether it be with this one or a prior show with a different radio station, I do what they call broadening the horizons. And in doing so, I find something that a lot of people seem to be introduced to or very interested in, or very they have knowledge in it, or even don't have knowledge but always want to try it. It's whatever you want. Insert that word here, whatever you want to say was involved. And that involves fantasy sports. Alex, you and I talked about it on what was it, about a week ago?
About a week ago.
And I kind of threw the option out there, and you seem to be very interested in it. You played your first ever fantasy football league
last year.
So fantasy sports is a huge thing, and it's a very huge thing for me. I play a lot. I'm not great, but I play a lot. I've won a few leagues. I've lost a few leagues. I've cried. I've won. I've been excited. I've won. So, but there's been a lot that I've done. So, in talking to a few people, one of a friend of mine from the collision industry that I know, he's interested in it. So we're going to have a beginner. We're going to have a fairly new person in being you, going to do this. Myself, that have played for many years, quite a few years, is going to be involved. Our co guy, the other part of our 209 sports team, DJ JOD, Mark Itliong, he's going to be involved in this. So we've got 4 players, and this is what our intent is. What we may be doing, haven't truly fully 100% decided if we're going to do this all the way, but we're going to try and get in with the 4 major .coms, CBS Sports, ESPN, NFL, and Yahoo. We're going to try and go ahead and play one free fantasy football league of each company. And what we'll be doing there is on Saturday, we will probably. Did we decide? Here's a little off the subject, but / on the subject kind of stuff. Did we decide? Are we doing a 1 hour show or are we doing a 2 hour show? I thought the last set, this one that we were thinking about doing was going to be 1 hour, but I thought after that we were doing 2 hours.
Yes, we're doing 2 hours.
We're doing 2 hours. So, with that being said,
hour. No, it will. If we said an hour, it ended up being 2.
Kind of like this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're just gonna do a quick 2 hour show. No big thing. Next thing you know, we're like, dude, we could have done 3, no problem. My bad. So this is where we're gonna be kind of at. We're gonna do not only we're gonna do 4 different companies fantasy football setups. We're gonna do Yahoo Sports is gonna be what they call a PPR league, points per reception. NFL.com, I believe, is also a PPR. Points per reception. So for every reception that a wide receiver gets, and they just calculate it a little bit differently. or ESPN.com will be just a straight up point for point. 10 yards is a point kind of thing. They do not do PPRs. Well, they probably do. I won't do that one for ESPN. I don't know what CBS does. So that would be the only one I don't know what to expect.
I have a feeling I'm going to learn a lot. Because
you can't learn a lot. You got to be telling the fans on how to do things.
I'll be doing both.
All right.
I thought I knew what there was about fantasy, but you were just telling me there's different types of how they count the leagues.
Mm-hmm.
I did mine on NFL.com,
and I believe you would have probably done. You know, it gives options, but I believe you probably would have done a PPR league. Did yours end in like, if you won, it would be like 110.4? Yeah, you got a PPR league.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Now I'm back with you.
Okay, so like ESPN, I won't do a PPR league. I'll just make it straight up point for point. So basically, every 10 yards is probably going to be a point. Quarterbacks probably every 25 yards or something like that is a point. 6 points, obviously, for touchdowns.
Okay.
Things like that.
I can follow that.
What we're also going to be doing is going to be daily fantasy football. So here's how that I was looking at it for everybody that's still tuned in with us. We got about 10 minutes or so. We're going to still kind of keep you going. So here's what I was thinking is that on Tuesdays, the last 15-ish minutes of our show, we'll check out what the Thursday night game is going to be. Whether it be, let's say, Raiders versus, the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
We'll pick out, we'll look at throughout the teams, who's got what, who's got where, if we have anybody.
Okay.
Hey, I might not have any of those players, so I'm going to be like, Alex, you're on your own. Good luck, and wish you the best of luck. But
okay, I'm not going to say that. I'll say this on air. I'm a Raider fan. I'm usually don't.
Speaking of which,
Raiders.
How do you? Well, I didn't have as much Niner stuff. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
The best.
He's acceptable. Somebody like that gets a pass.
There you go. I was gonna say heck, if you were here 2 weeks ago, because I was telling you I was moving some stuff around. One, because I knew that I was gonna have more company involved in this situation, but also because it needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I probably had a lot more Niner stuff in here. You'd have felt. I think you'd have felt awkward.
But now that I'm going to be doing the show, I might need to bring some Raider gear.
This guy. Oh my goodness. But
what I was initially saying is that being a Raider fan, I usually don't try to pick any Raiders.
I play a little bit. Being a Niners fan. I don't hide from that, but being a Niners fan, one, there ain't nobody I probably want to pick on that team anyways right now. Sorry, but I'm being serious.
Yeah.
But if I was, the reason why I'd pick them is because one, let's put let's say I needed a running back. And okay, I'll pick 3 running backs, but I'll do it to where they're on bye weeks. And I'll look to see who's on a bye week, and maybe that running back for San Francisco, he may be that guy that I need.
Right.
Who knows? But that's why he would be probably picked. and he'd probably be my third option or something like that. Things to that situation. So, but we got a lot of time to think about that, because coming Saturday we're going to we're going to kind of rank. We're going to discuss last year's quarterbacks, and we're going to rank this year's quarterbacks and where we think that they're going to be there. We're also going to do the tight ends, which should be interesting.
Yeah.
We may, depending on how things go, we may just go to the top 32. We may go top 5 and just go all the way across. I haven't truly decided, and that's something we need to talk about probably off air.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that we could probably do, because we've got. And here's the other thing too. There's two things I want to make sure I come across with. Is our leagues, when we do these drafts, they're all going to be live. We're going to do them right here on air.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So we're going to do all that. And like I was saying, is that I'm not necessarily asking you to tell me who you're picking if my pick is before yours, because I don't want you to think that I'm trying to take it. But it's a discussion that we both should have on who's up. So let's say, for example, you need a quarterback, and I pick before you, but we can kind of talk about, well, JD, you need a quarterback too. Where would you go in this situation? Because when it comes down to it, I truly don't. My competitive juices want to beat you, but at the same time, I want to teach anybody at home that's trying to do this for the very first time.
Right.
So my competitive juices want to beat you. The second side of things, I want to be able to teach people on how to truly play fantasy football.
So you're saying I might be able to take advantage of you?
No, because I'm still going to take you down. That's just all there is to it. But we're doing all 4 leagues, so you'll be able to see my strategy on why I do certain things. Once again, I'm not 100% foolproof. I'm just a fool. So it may work, it may not work. Last year we did one for the station, and I came in second. And all because my wide receivers all got hurt a couple weeks beforehand. It sucked. That's okay. I had Cam Newton, man. I was flying on top of the world. Yeah. I mean, I had some good players. Unfortunately, a lot of them got hurt in between then and now. So it's all good. I mean, we did a great job. We did what we could, and hey, we had fun doing it. So also what we're going to be doing, as we talked about, daily fantasy, FanDuel, DraftKings. Those are the 2 main ones right now. Fortunately, California has not been banned. Until that happens, we're going to keep bringing it to you. And what we're going to do is I've got an account with FanDuel and DraftKings. I'm going to put a little extra money into the category or into the accounts. Alex is going to go ahead and what we're going to do is the day of, we're going to log in on a Saturday, and we're going to pick our teams. Best thing about Saturdays, we can also talk a little bit about the college football level. I mean, that's going to be fun to talk about anyways. I mean, is Alabama going to be the top dogs again, or is somebody else going to come out there? Is Clemson going to be the team to beat?
I'm looking for Michigan. Just to throw that out there.
I like it. So there's lots on Saturdays we're going to be talking about. This isn't just going to be, it's primarily going to be around fantasy football. But what it comes down to, the reason why we're here. The reason why you're listening to us at home. We're all sports fans. Some of you are fantasy football fans, fantasy sports fans as well. So what that entails too, as well as another thing I want to bring up. We may be focusing on fantasy football. The only reason why we're focusing on fantasy football now is because, one, that'll be our first show. Fantasy football is right around the corner.
Yeah.
In fact, it's happening on Sunday. Don't forget. But it's happening on Sunday, so that's our first game where we actually truly get to see the very first time. We're not going to see Andrew Luck truly, but I wonder how he looks. What about Aaron Rodgers? How does he look? Jordy Nelson's coming back off that injury.
That's big.
I want to know how he's going to look. Is he even going to play? Probably not. But hey, things like that, these are things that I'm already starting to process before we even start fantasy football.
See how much weight the running back lost for Green Bay.
Actually, I've seen that already. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
He's lost about 15 to 20 pounds.
Wow.
He looks big, but he doesn't look big. Yeah, he looks a lot leaner.
Wow.
So he's lost a lot of weight.
That's scary.
Somebody to look at for your fantasy league too. So Lots of stuff. I mean, like I said, we're going to do daily fantasy. We're going to have a segment dedicated to our regular Tuesday shows, which are supposed to be technically revolved around 209 Sports. And as you heard throughout our show tonight, the most of it was we did go on the tangent about the U.S. Olympics, but what it comes down to, 209 Sports does revolve around the U.S. Olympics as well. Everyone wants to know what's going on with the U.S. Olympic team, the Olympics in general, the scary stuff that's going on over there. Some people aren't completely informed. And in fact, truth be told, up until about the early part of this day today, I was going to put the Olympics later on in the show. That changed the more I started reading into it. I did a little bit more research. The more and more I dug onto it, the more I didn't like it.
I think in general, we forget how important the Olympics are to non-sport people.
True.
Because so many people root for the Olympics that you don't hear anything from them about sports the rest of the 4 years.
Oh, you don't hear about track and field. I mean, you may hear about it. Like you'll see it on ESPN every now and then when they're trying to do the college championships or something like that. But that's not run daily.
No.
There's no swim meets that you see on a regular basis. Come on now. I mean, you see diving on ESPN at the prime hours of 5 o'clock in the evening where they're trying to. No, you're seeing baseball, you're seeing football, you're seeing basketball games. You're not seeing that stuff. So, no, you're 100% right. I mean, it's just part of it is unfortunate, but the other part of it is that this is that time where if you're an Olympic athlete, now's your time to shine.
Yes.
Can you believe how much NBC has put into this? I mean, if you're NBC, quite honestly, you need to kind of throw out a little bit on the IOC and tell them, hey, this was not cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly what you're saying. You need to stick it to them.
You don't need to 100% bash the Olympics because one, you're trying to make sure that you're still broadcasting their shows and their stuff, but at the same time, you need to tell the people at home how it truly is. You need to tell people how bad the water is right now and how ugly things look.
Right. I don't think bashing was probably the wrong word, but informing the people of what's really going on.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be sugarcoated because sugarcoating only leads to this happening in another 4 years.
That's the problem, though. It's happened the last couple of Olympics. And we haven't seen any improvement.
No.
So maybe a little bashing is okay at this point. Maybe we need to they need to be told, hey, this sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, it was a horrible situation, and yet I only hope that our athletes come back. I mean, and I'm not just talking about ours. I gotta emphasize this a little bit more. Athletes in general, whether it be from Croatia, Russia, wherever you're at. And Europe and England and all these other places, and France and Germany, they all need to come back healthy. This is they got enough problems as it is. So you don't need to come back with some sort of virus, and that's horrible. So but Saturdays are going to be a little bit more dedicated to it, and sometimes sports in general, need to have. They do have the 209 effect. You still have to have. Sometimes the NFL does something that affects everybody, and the 209 needs to be aware of it as well. Of course, we'll bring stuff like that. And as we said earlier when the show started, 209 Sports, we understand that the area of 209 can get a little boring. We're not going to sit here and talk all but 209 Sports. We are going to, sometimes when we need it, we're going to liven it up a little bit. We may talk a little national sports. We may talk a little bit of something else that we don't need to. Maybe Alex has something to get off his chest, and he's going to get on his soapbox, and he's going to sit back and talk for 15 minutes, and I'm going to do absolutely nothing. It may happen.
It will happen at some point.
And that's why this show is what it is. It is about sports. It is about the 209, but it's not only just about 209. It's about what we wanted to talk about to begin with, but we really wanted to focus on the 209 area. That's what it is. Alex, you got about a minute and a half. Floor is yours, sir. You're our new co-host. Welcome aboard.
Well, I will leave it with this. To the guy that's not here, thank you. To the man that is here, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. I am excited to be here, talk about sports, and it's hitting. And I'm getting back into it, getting back with you guys right in the middle of the Olympics starting, which is. I'm a big athlete, big sports guy, and the Olympics are just just heaven. Just heaven. You know, I watch the shooting. I watch the archery. I watch everything. So it gives me an opportunity to express some of the things I feel during the Olympics. Because last time I didn't really get to express. I blogged about it a little bit, but I love this. And then football starting. Oh my gosh. It's exciting times. It's exciting times right now, and then be able to learn more about 209 Sports and to talk about that and meet some of the athletes. It's exciting. So I appreciate it. We're gonna have a good time here.
Well, let's hope to a good year. So for Alex Woods, DJ JOD, Mark Itleung, who's the other member of our sports crew, I am JD Jeff Dominic, wishing everybody a great night. Don't forget, on Saturday at 3 o'clock will be our inaugural Fantasy Sports edition of 209 Sports. Thank you all very much. Have a great night, and we will see you then.